All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Darby, and I am thrilled to have you for Winning AI 2025 Day 2. Um, we are thrilled to have you join us for this next session from process to purpose, automating unnecessary steps in the proposal journey. If you have any questions during the presentation today, please feel free to submit them through the Q&A function located to the right of your video player. Or if you are on our mobile device, it's to the bottom, and we will do our best to address them at some point during the session. I'd also like to point out that this session has a designated forum for ongoing discussions, collaboration, and networking. You're welcome to engage in the post section anytime before, during, or after the session. Now, without further ado, I'll pass the floor to our presenter today, Olivia Hardy, Director of Product Marketing and Proposal Strategy at QorusDocs. And here with her today to help moderate the chat and the questions, Kelly Sitchell, Senior Product Manager at QorusDocs. Take it away, Olivia.
Great. Thank you so much, Darby. Thanks everyone for joining. A bit nervous to be kicking off this very first session of day two. I hope you're all doing well and have enjoyed day one. So just to give you a bit of background, so my name's Olivia. I've been working with QorusDocs since 2013, so it will be 12 years this year. It's quite a while. I've been fortunate to have had a very interesting career so far with a decade in sales prior to joining QorusDocs. And then at QorusDocs, I've had the opportunity to fill many different roles in pre-sales, customer success, customer experience, where I've worked with many customers implementing and adopting QorusDocs. For the past 7 to 8 years, give or take, I've also been responsible for managing strategic bids and proposals. And of course, my team and I use QorusDocs as our proposal automation and RFP response software when we respond to RFPs and we create proposals. And this has helped me gain a fairly unique perspective as an active user of the QorusDocs platform, and also as someone who has helped many others on their proposal software adoption journey. Plus, as an insider, I've seen all the R&D that goes into developing a platform like QorusDocs, and I've been quite close to the evolution of the technology, seen how things have changed, the impact of the change, and so on. So I'd like to kind of kick it off with where we are with AI. We've kind of gone from classic AI to generative AI and now we're heading to AI agents and agentic, as you've probably heard a lot about already in this conference. Classic AI was the age of machine learning, where we had to do a ton of training of the AI models to get semi-decent results, and there was a lot of human intervention. Generative AI, as you know, has been the biggest disruptor as we've moved to pre-trained models, and we're able to get much, much better output with a lot less human intervention. And now, of course, the buzzword of the day, agentic AI agents, is promising to take Gen AI that one step further and accomplish a lot more things autonomously and again with even less human intervention. So if we have a look at this picture, and we have to kind of stop right here, this can seem a little bit scary, where we're seeing perhaps humans are needed less as machines are taking on more. But this is the very first thing I'd like you to take away from the session today. And as people in proposals, you probably know this well, as the saying says, the devil is in the details. And so I think it's really important that we unpack and understand what it is that AI does and what it doesn't do, what it's good for and what it isn't, and where we as bid and proposal professionals fit in. So here's what AI does. And apologies if this seems a bit reductive, but I really wanted to get to the nuts and bolts of it and have us think about this for a minute. But essentially, AI in all of its forms ingests a lot of data, processes that data, and it outputs something else at the end. It outputs a result. What AI doesn't do is exercise judgment, care, genuinely empathize, show compassion, make decisions based on intuition and years of actual lived experience, and lead and motivate teams. As humans, we are exceptional at sensing purpose and feeling when something matters. It's why we get up in the morning and we do what we do. When we achieve something that is aligned with the purpose that we care about, something we believe makes an impact and gets us closer to our goals, that's when we have feelings of satisfaction and perhaps even of accomplishment and happiness. AI is a machine, and as a machine, it excels at automation, particularly at automating the repeatable and tedious parts of a process. And the best part really is it doesn't get unhappy, stressed, or burnt out when it's doing that. I'm going to perhaps state the obvious, but if you think about it, process is only important because if we chain all the parts of the process together in the right sequence, in the right way, and we do each part well, it can lead to really good outcomes and ultimately help us get closer to achieving a particular purpose. So here's the real shift. We can now direct AI to automate and handle a lot of the process questions. And we as humans finally get to live more in the purpose questions. So here's the difference. A process question might be, did we complete every section? Because that's on the process, we have to complete every section. But the purpose question would be, have we made it easy and low risk for the customer to choose us with a clear and confident narrative? AI can strip away a lot of the repeatable overhead and give us the headspace to choose the right deals, craft the right story, protect the business, and help teams succeed. What AI can't do is it can't give you purpose. But that said, it can stop your purpose from being buried under 100 tiny tasks. And that brings me to the next key takeaway of the session. I'd like you to think of your proposal process as a relay race with twists and turns, and some races are longer, some are a bit shorter. There's many stakeholders passing the baton. There might be some hurdles, but ultimately, for any relay race, AI, and the role of AI in this is that it doesn't run the entire race for you. What it does is it sprints a bunch of the boring laps. So when it can pick up, say, 50 out of 100 handoffs, and it can run them in a third of the time, you arrive at the finish line with more energy for the part that actually decides your deal, your insight, your judgment, your story. So let's imagine this is a track and your proposal process spans the entirety of the track. And let's say you use AI to automate 50% of the lower value steps in the process, and the team handles the rest, or generally the higher value steps. On the steps that you've automated with AI, you'll save at least 2/3 of the time it would have normally taken you. And what that translates to is a savings of 1/3 of the total time overall. So just a disclaimer, these figures here are much more from anecdotal evidence from customers that I've heard and from my own experience than from empirical data. The actual figures will in fact depend on your organization's people, maturity, process, choice of technology. But I would say that, in my opinion, this picture is realistic, it's very achievable, and perhaps even on the conservative side of what we're looking at the potential of this technology and what it can bring to you. So for argument's sake, let's say you are shaving off 33% of the total time. This time savings is on lower value steps, the parts that are repeatable, tedious, that you can automate, which then lets you shift to higher value and more impactful steps that decide the deal and that require the judgment, intuition, and empathy of a human. That further compounds the immediate 33% time savings gains with qualitative gains that are maybe even more important, like better win rates. So the key takeaway here is that the real power of AI isn't just one huge automation moment, it's the sum of all the small ones. And as I show you QorusDocs Gen AI and agentic capabilities next, I'd like you to watch for those small wins, the little steps that disappear and those that it speeds up. And that's where the real cumulative value lives. And these are all capabilities in the QorusDocs platform today. But before we dive into the demo portion, I'd just like to go back to this one slide for a minute. And a lot of us are asking ourselves, okay, well, what is our role now? And what does this actually mean for us? And what does this mean for our jobs and for our careers? And what I'd like to say is that while AI is becoming more and more autonomous and requiring less human intervention, I want to stress that less human intervention means less time spent training and instructing the AI on what to do and how to do it. It's a lot simpler now to do that, and it's just getting smarter as we're going. But it doesn't mean that we're spending less time checking the output, determining whether it is fit for purpose, if it's good quality, if it needs rework, if it aligns with what it is that we want. So that is and will always be the critical role of the human, because to be able to do those things well, we need judgment, real world experience, emotions, all things that only a human can bring. For QorusDocs, this is really key. We've had some form of AI in the platform for about 6 years now, starting with classic AI, machine learning, and then bringing Gen AI and now agentic capabilities into the product. I know that obviously I'm biased working with QorusDocs, but what I really appreciate about leadership's approach is that even in the design and the development of new AI capabilities, QorusDocs works extensively with real human customers to validate, get feedback, and then reiterate and validate again from design concept to feature release, and then checking in again how it's going and adjusting and making it something that's really valuable and that fits into your workflow and that contributes real value. So even here at those kind of early levels, the human is most definitely in the loop. And that's how AI capabilities are being responsibly built into the QorusDocs platform, rather than just simply because the technology is capable of some amazing things and a lot of things we can do with it. We won't just go and jump on that hype bandwagon and develop for the sake of developing and trying and being first to market. QorusDocs works with people because we really appreciate the complexities, the nuances of the work that bid and proposal professionals do, and approaches AI progressively and cautiously. And all the capabilities that I'll be showing you in the demo portion today have been well thought out and have proper guardrails in terms of security, privacy, transparency, and verifiability. They've been designed to enable you to focus on purpose, while AI automates and streamlines the repeatable processes that can be automated. Humans are not only like in the loop, they are in fact very much in control and very much in charge of the output. All right, so with that, I'm going to jump into the demo portion, and I hope I handle this well. Minimize that. Just bear with me. Not yet. There we go. All right. Um, okay, so I'm going to start with for this demo. I've already set up prior to this an RFP pursuit on my QorusDocs. The pursuit is kind of the collaborative workspace where we keep everything together, the information we capture about the RFP, all the documents from the documents we receive from the customer to our own internal planning documents, assignments, basically everything we need to get a really good job done and recommendations and all that good stuff. But what I'd like to dive into here is that for the purposes of this demo, I've already uploaded into my documents here. I've uploaded an RFP that we received from a fictional company, Blue Sky. And I'm going to go through and touch on throughout this demo how AI helps throughout the whole proposal development process and even in the pre-planning phase. So one of the first things that I'd like to do is when I get an RFP is hold a bid, no bid decision meeting with some key stakeholders to decide if we're even going to bid for this. And of course, we need some information for that. So what I'm going to do is jump over to Outlook and open my email. There we go. And I've got a new message right here. And I'm just going to go over to the RFP document and bring it up in the preview. And so I'm going to ask QPilot to help me with this task, which is to email my team and send them a summary of the requirements. There's my mouse. There we go. So here's QPilot, the QorusDocs AI assistant. And you'll see the RFP I've got has got the project overview, challenges, scope of work, all standard sections, a bit simplified for this demo, but you get to see it right here. So what I'll do is I'm going to prompt QPilot and say this document, so then it uses this for context, is an RFP that we've been waiting for. Can you help me draft an email to my team informing them that we'll be holding a bid, no bid decision meeting, and also summarizing the RFP background, key requirements, evaluation criteria, and timeline. Okay, so QPilot now is going to go and read through this. And here we go. I've got the email message with everything I need. So what I'm going to do is simply click on insert right here. And this is going to insert it, just close that. It's going to insert the response here or the output from QPilot directly into my email body. So now I can just go and move that into the subject line and I can edit it as I see fit. But already this has saved me a ton of time and it makes sure that my team is already on task and kind of knows what's happening. I know that not everyone is going to read it in detail. They should, but we've got some good background information to help us get started. Okay, so now let's fast forward and imagine that I've sent this email and I've set up the meeting. So I don't want to have to prompt all the time and there's things that are repeatable. So what I will do is for the next part is I want to work on the bid, no bid decision and kind of do a preliminary analysis. And I'm going to use an agentic smart skill for this. So I can prompt QPilot as you see me do, but next I'm going to use an agentic skill. So what we'll do is go back to my browser and here it is. And this time, let's make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to go over to the Smart Skills library that I've got set up for this demo here. And one of the first things we have is the bid, no bid kind of summary. So I'm going to run that skill. And what this is going to do is it's going to use context that I'm providing it, and it's going to seek out additional context from me, perhaps that might not be in any of the documents that I've provided. So one of the first questions is, what is our relationship with the client? And I've got three choices. So I can say we've got a strong relationship, or we know them but haven't worked with them. We have a prior relationship. I'm going to go with B. They are a new client. So just input that in there. And then the second question, do we have the capacity and expertise to deliver the full scope? I'm going to say yes, we do, can deliver the entire scope. And then can we price this competitively and profitably? And this demo, I'm going to say, of course, and put that in there. And what QPilot does then is it takes that information that I just provided and it combines it with other information it has to give me a very comprehensive bid, no bid decision summary with all the different points that we want to be able to consider. So we've got strategic fit, compliance risk, differentiation potential, estimated effort, client signal, strengths, risks, competitive position, and some really good stuff in there for us to meet about and to kind of help inform our decision. And it also means that we can kind of apply this framework very quickly and shortcut the process. Now, what I really love about this, and I'll show you how we got to that, is that all the instructions, I've lost my mouse again. Where did it go? Here you are. All the instructions that have gone into this agentic smart skill are available right here. I can see exactly what it was told to use for context. So as I mentioned, that it's used the RFP document. We've also given it our bid no bid framework, which is an internal document for us that determines, what helps us win and what do we want to bid on and not bid on. And you can completely do this and configure. This is highly configurable. Really make it your own. And then we've got various step questions. So we saw the three questions I had earlier, but you can really have 10, 20 questions if you want, or maybe just two questions. It's entirely up to you, and you can fully customize this. Now with this, I've got, as I mentioned, the transparency, the verifiability. I can go and ask further questions if I want, right here, and interact with QPilot. Back into my Smart Skills library, I just want to show you that although I chose to just run this, if I wanted, I could go and click on any of these and customize the skill before running it. So here, I've opened up the clarifying questions extractor. And here are the instructions. It's going to analyze this document and look for things like missing information, ambiguous language, conflicting requirements, etc. So maybe I would want to add in there missing incumbent. Clarify if any provider has been mentioned. Gosh, I can't type. And ask if not. And submit that. And so now it will take into account the amended instruction that I've given it and provide this analysis back to me. And I really like the format that it does it in, and you can really get quite detailed with the format. So it's given me multiple clarification questions, unclear requirements, unclear criteria, which section it was found in, ambiguous language, missing information, and so on. So I've got a lot of good stuff here, and this I can use to then go and put into a clarifications log document and use that as a basis and a start point for my clarifications. In the Smart Skills, if I would like to go and add, so I've customized this one. If there's one that I use a lot, And very often, what I can do is add it to my favorites. And when you add a smart skill to your favorites, whenever you create a new chat, you'll see that button gets added here. So I can just run it straight from here very quickly. So it makes it very convenient and really puts it at your fingertips. So you don't have to focus on all the smaller process steps, but really focus on purpose. Um, I'm just going to show you here, if I call out some of these smart skills, I've shown you how they work, but just to give you the idea of the range of what's possible, which I think is super exciting, is we've got smart skills, agentic skills for everything from the pre-planning stages, pre-proposal stages to the planning to the actual development from executive summary generators, legal bio writers, proposal answer optimization, and then refinement and compliance and risk checks and assumption identifiers. Um, and yeah, I won't read all of them, but you kind of get the idea of how this might touch along all the different repeatable processes throughout your proposal journey to shortcut those processes and give you more time to focus on the purpose. It might seem a bit daunting, the smart skills. We help you set this up for each of our customers, and we've also got a resource center where we have got a lot of skills and prompts and templates that have got such a wealth of agentic skills already pre-built that you can just deploy to your QorusDocs. And all of these have been tested and work incredibly well. And as you can see, they span the entire proposal process. What I really like about them as well is that you'll get some guidance, and here's a skill, here's the instruction. And at the end of each of these in the resource center, we've done a lot of research on all of these, and you'll see we've got the aligned frameworks listed. This helps me and my team a lot because we're a really small team. And when we are responding to RFPs, we don't, especially if we are flooded with RFPs, sometimes you don't control the flow. We don't always have time to apply best practices we'd like to. So these aligned frameworks, because the skills are aligned to frameworks, I'm able to then go and apply these and produce something of much better quality. It gets me to a very high degree, almost there. And then the rest is a human touch. We'll go in, but you know that the standards and the best practices have been applied. And then you can go and apply your experience to it. So incredibly rich. Right, so I'm just going to go back into the demo. I get very excited about smart skills. And go back to our story. So imagine now we've done the bid no bid decision. And we've actually even had our kickoff call. We've decided we're going to go ahead and bid. And so kind of like fast forwarding in the process because we can't go through everything. But now what I'd like to do is maybe use that to go and create my RFP response template. So what I can do is, sorry, before I go there, the output that I just had earlier for each of those skills, I'd like to show you, we've got them all saved right here in the history. So let's say I want to go into and create an internal planning document that I want to send out, or maybe we even have this in our bid no bid meeting. In QPilot, I can switch apps, which is also something I love because I'm always in Word and PowerPoint and Outlook, Excel. In my browser, I'm in multiple different places, and I can very quickly switch contexts and come and grab it here. So here's the bid evaluation that I did, and I can just come here and insert that, and here we have it. And now if I'd like to also, the background that I generated for when I was in Outlook, that might also be quite useful. So I might want to have it in here as well and reuse that. And I'll go ahead and insert that as well. And let's just take that out. And that gives us some great context. And so now you can imagine that you would be able to build out documents, and you can also do this in PowerPoint and Excel from different skills, from your chat history, across your interactions, and also on the fly, which is quite powerful. But what if we could automate this even further and I didn't have to go and build this in and go and insert it? Well, the nice thing is that QorusDocs has got some AI-powered templates in Word and in PowerPoint. So I'm going to go and do that now with our RFP response document. So again, fast forward, we've done the bid, no bid decision, and now we're going to do our RFP response. So I'm going to go back into our pursuit and go to our recommended content this time. These are recommendations that of content and templates that Chorus has made based on the stage of the deal, and you can configure this to take into account a lot of different factors. It's really a powerful enablement tool for your team. I'm going to use this one here and go ahead and create that. What it does is it brings up a form on my side. And in this form, one of the first things I'll be doing is selecting documents that I'd like the QorusDocs AI or QPilot to use for context. So what I will do is use the Blue Sky Energy RFP that we received, and I can go and select more. And I'm going to click on Run QPilot. And what that does is right now it is generating writer's notes for the executive summary. It's extracting key current challenges. It's also extracting questions from the RFP, and it's accomplishing all of these different tasks sequentially, like one after the other, and populating different areas on my Word template. While I'm here, I'm also going to select which team members I'd like to have, and I can select some bios from here. I'm going to choose bios from the commercial team and technology, and let's apply that. I'm going to select Nicole, Jolene, and perhaps David. And there we have it. So I've selected their bios now, and you'll see what that data looks like in a moment. But right here, while I'm busy assembling this, I can choose, well, what kind of layout do I want? Do I want to have it look like this, or do I want it to have more of a full page layout? And I could have a bunch more, but I'm going to choose card layout for this one. And then the rest of the information here has been pulled in from my CRM, which is why it's grayed out. So I can't edit this. The source of truth is Salesforce in this case. And then we've got other information that I provided when I created this collaborative workspace. I gave the proposal a proposal number. We have a choice field for energy, and some other information here. So when I click continue, I can give it a name. So let's call this draft response for Blue Sky. And I could choose to generate this as Word or PDF, but I want to edit it further. So we'll go Word and hit create. And now what QorusDocs will do is take all that information and the AI generated content within that form and put it in the right places in the document so that my response template is pre-populated. It's got the right sections, and it's opening in my other screen. Let me just bring it here. And it's going to open it up directly in Word. And from here, I can carry on working, collaborating, and editing it. And it's on my other screen. And let's bring it. There we go. And here it is. And so this is our RFP response for Blue Sky Energy. The information that was pre-filled in the form is all in here. The AI part, which I find really exciting because it's taken the actual client's document. It's not the same as having boilerplate in your content library, which you still need, very, very important even. But it will take that boilerplate, will take your methodology, and it will craft something that is really specific for this customer. So it's a whole other level of personalization and enablement for your team, really. So you can focus on purpose. So here are the writer's notes where it's taken out the key challenges, it's referring to which section it's taken those out from, the client's goals, the solution, the differentiators, tone and style. And with this, I can really go and write something that's very specific and tell a very good story with all of this guidance. And if I wanted, I could even feed this back into QPilot and have QPilot help me generate that summary, generate the executive summary and refine it and check it against frameworks and develop it further. Here's the challenges section that we were able to extract using the AI. This part here that you see shaded, that's been automated with QorusDocs Smart Fields and rules that merge in information in the right place, adjust the messaging, in this case, based on the industry. So that's like adjusting your boilerplate. Experience. Here are some of the bios that were extracted. They're very simple, but we can do quite a lot with the formatting. You can see how that comes across. All of this is data that lives in the background. And here are the questions that it extracted from the RFP. So we've had auto answering and AI answering of questions for quite some time. So I won't go into too much depth into this, but just to kind of close the loop on that and show you what's possible. A lot of these questions are from the about us kind of part, or at least a lot of the answers that I'm going to look for are going to be in the about us section. So I'll go ahead and select that. That's my library that's connected in the background. And what I will do is simply highlight the question. And what's really nice is that previously with the matching of questions to answers, we'd get results back from the library, which is still super important because you want to be able to have access to your approved answers and not have something too creative either. You've approved those and they're in your library for a reason. So we've got all of these answers right here from the library, and I can go and use any of these. But what QorusDocs also does is it will take the top answers, the most relevant ones, and will actually summarize those for us or consolidate them and put them in a net new answer that is more tailored for the way that this question has been asked. So I don't have to spend quite as much time shaping, and I can also see which documents were used in generating this here. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that. And there we have it. And then I can fully edit this, of course. So if I don't want to talk about construction, go ahead and take that out. And I can edit this just as I would any Word document. So a very powerful way to get to draft very, very quickly on your RFP. And also, while you still have control over the formatting, we don't have to worry about the publishing to a template. I can use all my word styles that I would normally have. If I want to make that a heading, I can. And as you are drafting, you've got the formatting that you want. This one's not very pretty. It's kind of quick for the demo. Normally we do something a little bit better in our own proposals, but just to give you an idea of what's available. So next, we'll fast forward again, and let's imagine that we've been selected as finalists, and we want to give we need to give a PowerPoint presentation and do an oral presentation for our bid. So what we'll want to do is use our completed response. So let's imagine we've completed this and we've written a really fantastic proposal that got us shortlisted. And I'm going to come back into my pursuit area here and this time select the finalist presentation. And I'm going to click on create. And here I can select the completed response. So we had the final, I think it was called, submitted. There we go. I think it was this one. And then I can run QPilot on that. And what will happen is it will generate slides for the key challenges, for the proposed solution, for the pricing. All of these are very specific skills and capabilities, and you can configure this to suit your AI-powered templates as you wish. So I'm going to click on continue, and let's call that blue sky, finalist presentation, click on create. And let's open that, and it will open it up in PowerPoint. Let's give it a second. And so here again, while it's opening, this is a request that we often get from our customers where we're like, we've created a proposal and we want to use the input from one step, from one part of the process and inform the next part of the process. And here's the PowerPoint that we generated. Okay, so I didn't have any pricing in my completed one, the next steps. So all of these are in here. And now we are ready to go to our finalist presentation. So just to show you and of course then I can go and edit it and format it as I need to. All right, I keep on losing my mouse. Okay, so that concludes the demo portion. I will open it up into Q&A, and if you want to get in touch and you want to talk about any of this, please contact us. Here are our contact details. But before we go, I just want to conclude that really our goal is to simplify the process, think about the compounded savings, not just in terms of time, but also in terms of quality, in terms of, I'm showing the wrong slide, in terms of happiness and job satisfaction as well. And I hope that you've enjoyed this presentation. All right, so are there any questions?
Hi, Olivia. There are questions. I'm vigorously tapping away to respond to them, but I think if I could call out some of them and we can have a Q&A on the questions from the chat that I haven't been able to respond to as yet.
Sure.
There is one from Steve, and he said the fact that each RFP tends to offer mandatory formatting criteria, can QorusDocs agentic capabilities, I guess it's QPilot, flesh out these very specific compliance requirements?
That's a really good question. So the style, so it depends on what kind of, if the format is in Excel or if it's in Word. But the answer is yes, but it's not so much AI that does it. You set up the template from the get-go with the styles that you need. So it's at the style kind of setting. And when you insert content or wherever the AI comes and inputs the content, it will follow whatever style that you've set in the template. So you would do that at the start.
Okay, Olivia, I think we are at the top of the session. There are a number of questions that I haven't been able to respond to immediately. I will respond to them in time now with you on the chat for the rest of the attendees.
Yes, I'll join you on that. Thanks very much, everybody. Sorry I took more time than I thought for the demo. I'll be online with you and responding to questions. And we'll also pop a copy of this presentation into the session.
Wonderful. Olivia, thank you so much for such a wonderful session. And Kelly, thank you so much for moderating. I appreciate both of your help. Please take a couple of moments to complete that session survey in the tab to the right of your video player. We really value your thoughts and we appreciate you taking the time to share your feedback. Again, thank you so much, Olivia, for the presentation today and joining us. All
Thank
right.
you. Thanks for having me.
We hope you all have a great rest of your day at Winning AI.
All right.